What's up with you? I just wanted to make this video today because a lot of people see successful people, but just like me, just like where I was, yeah, I see successful people, but how can I relate to them? Because all I see is their success, but what did they have to go through? What did they have to go through to get to that success where I can relate to those things and really believe that I can do what they do or get to where they are? So I just wanted to tell some of my story. Hopefully this can motivate some people. Hopefully this will inspire you to say, look, if he can do it, then I can do it. So, and I'm the meaning of it. When I say just to exist as a living, I meant that, and I mean it, and I still mean it, and I'm still going for better and higher levels. But I just wanted to jump on here and just tell some of my story. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I'm gonna give you some of my time points of what happened and what I had to go through life. So of course, after you get out of high school, your parents, they want you to go to college and all that. So I went out there and I went to college. I went to a community college first. I did like 2 years there, kind of started to learn responsibilities on my own. Then I transferred from there. I went to Clark Atlanta University for a year. And as I'm in school, it's like I could never figure out exactly what I wanted to do. I'm like, all right, my parents want me to go to school. I'm getting the experience. I'm out here. But why can't I figure out what major I want? I kept changing my major. I went from mass media to business administration to, I just kept switching it up. And I'm just like, man, I don't know. I don't even know if school is for me for real. But I didn't want to let my parents down, just like a lot of us. You don't want to let your parents down. But I was just like, man, I don't think this for me. And then I was seeing the student loan debt that my mom had to go take out a student loan for me, like $25,000 at the time. And I'm just like, nah, I don't even want to run that bill on my mom because it's going to be her responsibility. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to go back home. So I came back to Maryland, went to Bowie State. Still couldn't figure out what I wanted to do in school. And then I just started thinking, I'm like, well, why do I feel like this? Why don't I want to do this school thing? They say you're supposed to go to school so you can get a good job. But what I started to realize is getting a good job just meant I was about to go to school, get in debt, and then come out to go work for a boss. And they ain't sit right with me. So school kind of ended. This is around like 2004, 2005 or something like that. And then I was just like, man, I can't do this school thing. So of course, your parents going to be like, hey, you got to get a job. So I went out there and I got a job. I worked at CVS. I was switching up jobs because I would either get fired or I quit. I didn't work at CVS, Walgreens, Radio Shack, Giant, the grocery store several times. I worked at Target. I done newspaper routes. I worked at a sub shop. I literally worked almost all these jobs, and I was just like, wow, like why I don't feel no sense of fulfillment with none of this stuff. Like I don't even want to really do this. I'm like, they're not paying me nothing. They feel like they can talk to me any way that they want to. I'm not feeling this. So I'm like, okay, I know it's got to be another way. And around this time, I was still staying, with my parents, and I was like, okay, I got to make a move. I got to make a move. And around this time, my parents, they had divorced. So, that was a change for me as well. And I just started to look at things a little different. So, came back home to Maryland. And, finally, I knew me and my mom, together. She has rules in her home. I'm like, I got to get my own spot. So, I finally got my own spot. I moved into a neighborhood that I had grew up in when I was a kid. I moved back over there, which is in Harlequin Terrace. It was, Section 8 apartments, but it was cool because I wanted my own stuff. So I got the keys, told my mom, hey, I got my keys. Great. So I moved into this, apartment. And at the end of the day, I still needed money, though. I got my own spot, but I still need money. So I'm still trying to figure it out. Okay, I got to work. So I still got a job or whatever. And I'm like, all right, So what hit me was me having this job. They were paying me, and I would go pick my son up on the weekends. I would go get him on Fridays and stuff, and we had a routine that we did. He was young at this time. We had a routine. We would stop at the Red Box in DC so he can get his little movies and stuff. Then we would go home, watch the movies. So this one particular time, I'm riding, I go pick him up. We doing our routine. We go by the Red Box, and I swipe my card. My son wanted a DVD, and at this time it was only like $1. Swipe my card. Nothing happens. I'm like, hold on, what's going on? Swipe it again. Jesse, you don't have no dollar. You don't even have $1 in your bank account right now. This is why my card declined. And it was right there at that moment when I was just like, all these jobs, I don't even have enough money. I just got paid and I still don't have enough money. My bills just took all the money that I thought I was going to have. I didn't even have $1 to get my son a DVD. And that hurt me to my soul. Like it crushed me. As a man, it crushed me. My son didn't understand it at the time, but I had to make up something. I'm like, hey, look, we can't get this. I don't know what I said to him, but I made something up, and I was like, hey, I'm going to have to go, literally had to go to the library and get like these old DVDs that he knew nothing about. It was back in my time, but I was like, hey, cartoons, he'll watch them. But that's when I just realized that, man, this job is not going to be enough for me. So, the next thing I took up, I'm like, okay. And then I kept working the job for a little bit longer, and I'm just like, okay, this is something that has to give. And I had got down to the point where I had like $100 to my name. This was after the situation with my son where I couldn't get this DVD, so we literally had to wait. I got paid again. And I literally had got down to my last $100, and I'm like, what am I going to do? This job is not doing it for me. I got to figure out something else. So I chose another lane, and I chose to spend my last $100 to do like a lot of people are doing, especially from our community, it's from a lot of communities, but I chose to buy some drugs. And I figured at least I could try to figure that out on my own, and I had control over it. So I took my last $100 and I bought some drugs to flip in my neighborhood. And I took that 100 and I started to flip it, and I'm like, oh wow, this is lucrative. I started to make a lot of money. I'm talking about, I used to, like, I'm walking around over time. I started to build it up. I'm walking around with thousands. I'm talking about more money than I ever seen in my life, ever seen working for a job. I'm buying stuff, going to get jewelry, I'm buying cars or whatever, and I'm seeing myself starting to level up, and I'm really feeling like, I'm the man right now. I'm the man. I'm like, man, I'm making my own money. I'm setting my own schedule. Yes. So I looked at, I'm an entrepreneur, but I was just an entrepreneur in the wrong lane, but I was still doing what I already seen myself doing, something on my own, something, that I could have control over. And, so I hustled for some time. And guess what? Doing that thing, I had to realize I had to start living and learning. These are the things I started to learn within this process, that wasn't the way either. Because a lot of bad things started to happen in my life. I was up. I was making all this money, but then things started to happen. People started watching me. Because they like, man, he getting it. What's going on? So then I got robbed at gunpoint. Devastating. You thinking all your people around you, thinking all the people who feel like, they giving you accolades. I see you. Whole time, these are the same people who want what you got. And this is the environment that I'm in. So I'm like, wow, okay. So I still hustle. Even after that, I'm like, man, whatever. Had to tote a pistol every day. Because I'm like, nah, I'm not about to let that happen. But this was the mentality that I was in because of who I was and how I was then. I was younger. I thought that was the way, but it wasn't. So it wasn't until a lot of other stuff started to happen. Now the police were watching me. They doing drug sweeps around the neighborhood. A whole lot of stuff is happening. So I'm like, man, this it's God talking to me right now. You know, God is telling me, he's giving me these chances. He's giving me these warnings. He's saying like, look, you could have been dead after this robbery. Because they had guns. They could have killed me then. The police on me. You could have went to jail. I dodged that bullet. So this is when I started to mature, and I say, you know, I had to look at my son. I'm like, well, I don't want my son doing nothing like this, so I got to make a change, and I have to make it fast, or if I'm going to be dead, I'm going to be locked up. And this is where really when I had that big epiphany. So I said, you know what? I'm done with this. I can't hustle no more. I literally just quit overnight. I said, I'm done. People were still calling my phone, but I'm like, nah, man, I got to do something different. What do I want my son to look at me for? I don't want him to look at, I don't want him to do this. This is dangerous life that I'm living right now. So I did the next best thing, which I didn't want to do. I had to go get another job. Because I'm like, man, they already watching me. They already tried to put me out of my place several times. Had to go to court. I beat them each time, but I was doing what they said I was doing, but they just couldn't prove it. But guess what? One man know, and that was God. He knew what I was doing. He was giving me them warning signs, so I made a change, and I got a job. I'm like, man, I'm about to go back and get the job, go back into this field that I don't want to, but I have to right now because I got to figure out my life. So I got a job. Now, I got a job working for Metro. You know, one of the jobs they saying, oh, it's a great job, and, you know, it's the best job in the world, you know, for the people that work there. But I'm just like, all right, it's cool. I'm going to work this. You know, I'm going to make it pretty decent money doing it. So I went out there. I'm working. I'm like, man, trying to get in the mentality of how they have their mentality, like the people. I'm looking at the coworkers, and they're like, you know, we get this, get the benefits. So I started getting wrapped up in that. I'm like, oh, yeah, well, I got benefits, you know, so I'm not hustling no more. I'm making some money. But guess what? It brought me right back to no sense of fulfillment. I started feeling miserable. Every day I was going into this job, I was getting sick. I would have like these headaches. And it was only when I went into the job. And I'm like, man, like I know I have to work. I got to do something. And then at this time, you know, my mind started to change again. I was unhappy every day. Every day I was going to work, man. I had to be at work at 5 o'clock in the morning. I got off at 9:30. Then I had to go back at 3:30 p.m. Then get off at 8:30. Had a swing shift because that was the only way that I could get off on the weekends. But I was still giving these people all my time, and I hated it. Going to work every day, I hated it. Like, I didn't have no sense of fulfillment, man. I literally quit going to work every day. I quit. But I went in because I'm like, man, I got to get this paycheck. I got to pay my bills. I need money. I got to do this. But I was not happy. My life was miserable. I was missing all, like, my son's back to school nights. I was missing the field trips. I was missing pretty much a lot of his life. I mean, I still got him on the weekends and stuff like that, but how much time did I really have to spend with him? Because I'm working all this swing shift. It was taking up my whole time, Monday through Friday. Then on Saturday was really like my only day, because Sunday I had to take him home early because I had to get prepared to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to be back and do this all over again. So not only was I giving him 40 hours of my life, I was giving him more than that because of that break. And I'm like, you know, I'm asking God, like, I know you gave me this path, but why do I feel like this? I don't feel good about it. Every day I go to work, I'm getting sick. I'm looking at the people that's working at the job and they're miserable, but they go to work, they working overtime, literally about to kill themselves to get this paycheck. And I'm just like, man, Lord, it has to be another way. There gotta be another way. This can't be the way. I'm missing everything. I can't go to my family reunions, they telling me, because I gotta wait until I can pick. And if you don't got seniority, then you can't get this. And I'm just like, this can't be the way. So what do? And this was around the time when I was introduced to home care, because I was doing everything, man. Listen, I went out, I got my real estate license while I was hustling. I got, my life insurance license while I was hustling. I'm trying different stuff in the process, because I'm like, okay, well, maybe this is it. Maybe this is it. Everything that came to me that it looked like, I could make this money real fast, and, just because I was used to it, because I was hustling on the street and I was used to that fast money. So I was trying to get that again. Real estate, let me do this. So I was doing a little bit of the real estate, got my license, but I'm like, well, I got to pay all this stuff. And then I got to take people, drive them around, and I'm not going to make money until, oh, this ain't for me. That's not fast enough for me. Then I hopped over here, life insurance. At this time I was way younger, so I'm trying to talk to older people about life insurance. They're not listening to me. They're not hearing me. I couldn't make no money. I didn't make nothing. Then I hop over here, do this. Then I hop over here, do this. I was just hopping everywhere, just doing all type of stuff, just trying to figure it out, really trying to make a quick lick, which made me figure out that it's no thing as a quick lick. Yeah, you can make some money real quick, but it's not going to be long term. So it wasn't until I started to realize that I'm like, why am I not getting ahead trying to do all this stuff? I got a job. I'm putting money in, trying to do this real estate, trying to do this life insurance, nothing's working. Nothing's working. Then it hit me. I'm like, I hate your job. It's making me sick. I'm going to work. Still going to work, but I hate it. I'm about to do this for the next 30 years? No. It wasn't until I made a decision and really started paying attention to my surroundings, paying attention to the people I was spending time with, paying attention to who had influence on my life. And it wasn't until then where I was started to really look and pay attention to what was going on. In the job, I was like, look, I'm not doing this. This job, I'm not doing this forever. So I made a commitment. I said, you know what? I'm about to figure out something. I have to. And that's when I was introduced to home care. I didn't understand home care. I didn't know nothing about it. Unexperienced. I just knew that I would be able to help people. And I always loved to help people, but I just couldn't figure out what lane to take to be able to help anybody. So I was introduced to home care, and I'm like, all right, let me look into this. So as I started to look into the home care, I'm still working. I'm like, well, wow, hold on, wait. This is literally like a bulletproof business, because people actually need this. They don't just want it. It's going to be a need. So I started to look at things like, okay, if this is a need, then this is a good business to start paying attention to. So I started doing my research. I started, helping out one of my friends who, him and his wife, they were doing it. And I started to see them moving up. I'm like, wow. I started to pay attention. So I was like, okay, you know what? I think I want to do home care. And this is when I made that decision. And I said, you know what, but how am I going to do this if I'm still working this job? So I'm literally sitting in my living room, in my Section 8 apartment. And I'm like, Jesse, you have to make a decision. You got to make a decision today to stop hopping around. You got to get focused now. If you're going to do this home care thing, then you got to do it, but you got to lock in, because think about all the stuff that you've been trying to do. Nothing was really as successful as I thought it was going to be, because I was bouncing around. I was doing the wrong thing. So I said, you know what? Okay. I'm not working this job forever. So I started to tell my coworkers, look, I ain't going to be here long. I told them the max I'm going to give these people is 5 years. This is the max that I'm going to give Metro. And they looking at me like I'm crazy. They're like, what? 5 years? Why don't you work like 15 or 20, 25 years, and maybe you'll get some mornings then. Maybe you'll get Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 3, and be off on the weekends. I said, what? 15 years of my life? I'm not going to do that. I can't. I'm sick when I come here. I'm miserable when I come here. I'm missing out on my son's life. because I got to come here. I got to make a change today. So literally, this day, I'm sitting in my living room. And I'm like, man, I'm going to get this LLC. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And it was at that moment I said, if I purchase this LLC, I'm going to do it. And the reason why I thought I could do it because I seen somebody else do it. That come from where I come from. Which made me relate to it. So I said, you know what? If I get this, I got to lock in. I got to do this. So I purchased my LLC. And I knew it was no turning back then. I said, it's no turning back now. You're not going back. I'm not going back to hustling. It's not happening. I'm not risking my life for this no more. It's not happening. And I got to get away from this job. So, of course, I didn't just quit. I still went back to this job. I still went back to this job every day. You know, Monday through Friday, still doing the same things. I said, okay, how can I get my business? So what I started to do, I started to take the money from my business. from, what I was working, where I was working. And I just started to get little pieces at a time. Okay, now I'm going to get this, the logo. I'm going to get this. I just started rolling money over. And as I'm doing this, I'm like, okay, I got to start making some other drastic changes. I had been living at this time like 10 years in this Section 8 apartment. And I'm like looking at my surrounding. I'm like, hold on. My environment. I got to switch up my environment now. Because not only while I was trying to work on my business, living in these apartments, still working, hating this job, when I'm trying to, let's say I was trying to buckle down in the house, I'm going to work on this business. Here comes somebody knocking on the door. What's up? Because they knew I lived, all that. Got the Henny, got this, got the weed. And guess what you do? You forget about that and say, all right, come on, this my man. This my homie or whatever. This my girlfriend. And you do that thing where you should have been working on this business, but you're not. So I said, okay. I start paying attention to my environment. Got to change it. Got to change it. So I'm working. So I had to still work this shift that I was working, Monday through Friday, going in on the swing shift. And then I had to make another decision. I get this break in between. Am I going to waste it and go to sleep? Like all the other bus drivers do because they're tired. They go to sleep in between this, or am I going to work to not be them? To not be here for 30 years and still be miserable. So I chose to not sleep. I chose to, during my breaks, when I had those swing shifts, I was working on my business. I started to put it together. I'm like, okay, before I'd be like, I'm tired, I want to go to sleep. But sleep wasn't it no more. For me needing to work there or have to work there for the next 15 to 20 years of my life was more miserable. It was probably the worst thing that I could think about in my head, which made me work on my business in between those breaks. Every day, people sleep. I'm in the car working on the business. I'll go home and work on the business. I started putting this stuff together. I started putting them piece by piece because I knew this job wasn't it. So I finally got the company up and running. I finally got the structure of it. And I'm like, okay, now what? Now what do I have to do to get the company going? Because I'm still working at this job. I don't have time. Well, this is what I'm telling myself, but I'm telling myself I got time. I'm fighting between the two. I'm tired. And a lot of us go through that. You want to sleep, but you're like, oh, I'm like, no, I can't sleep. If I sleep, I'm going to be them. I don't want to be them. So I kept grinding. I kept doing what I was supposed to do for my business. And I'm like, okay, now I'm working on my business. Now what do I need to do to push me even further? I got to leave this environment. So what I did was I did something drastic. So if anybody know about Section 8 or whatever, or the Section 8 I was living in, if you didn't have a job, you didn't have to pay rent. I was working, so I had to pay, some rent. But I'm just like, I knew if I quit Metro, then my rent would go to zero, but I didn't want that no more. So I made this painful phone call. I had to call my mom. And I'm grown, you know. Nobody wants to call their mom and ask to come back and stay with them. But I knew I could. I didn't burn no bridges, so I'm like, you know what? I could go back to my mom. And I think around this time, you know, she needed some help too. So I was like, you know what? I can go back and help my mom and, you know, give her a little money to help her. But then at the same time, I can still save and continue to roll money over to the business to keep fueling it. But I knew that I had to get out of that environment. I had to leave because the people around me was not moving. The people around me had been there forever. The people around me didn't have goals. They didn't have vision to get up out of there. So where was I going to pull drive? Where was I going to get that just fuel to do what I wanted to do? So I had to roll out. So I made that decision. I ended up moving back in with my mom. And my mom was like, well, you know, this is the room that I grew up in. I was like, nah, I don't want that. I don't want to be comfortable. So even when I went there, I wanted to be uncomfortable. So she had a room in the basement, and it was a small little room. I remember me and my dad and this guy, we built the room down there. I said, yeah, put me right here. I had a mattress, didn't have no box spring, none of that. It was on the floor. I said, yeah, just leave me right there like that. My TV that I had, I put that on the crate. Put that on crates where I was keeping some of my clothes. I said, yeah, just like that. I don't want nothing special. Then I had to construct one of those things that you see at the stores that you hang your clothes on. That's where I hung the stuff that I hung up on, was on there, on those racks. And every day I would just come there and see that. So every day it was like motivation for me, you know, to see that, because I knew that wasn't going to be my life. I knew I had to fight my way out of that to get from my mom's basement. And I just kept grinding. So this one day, I was just like, you know what? Well, prior to that, I said, okay, now I done moved from the environment. I'm working on my business. What else? I need something else that's going to keep me in line and keep me going. What else? Okay, what else can I do? Now, I told you, my son at this time, you know, he's getting a little older. So I said, you know what? I need to do something else drastic. I need to do something else drastic that's going to keep me accountable and make me do what I said I was going to do. So in October 2016, I remember, I picked my son up, and he's there. And I said, hey, I want to talk to you. I sat him down, and I told him, I said, listen, I know you might not understand. I know you know I got a job. I'm doing what I'm trying to do so I can support us. I said, but by your birthday of the next year, which was 2017, I remember, 2017 was the next year. His birthday was in April. This was October 2016. I said, son, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. By your birthday next year, I will not be working at this job. I will not. I told my son that. So it can provide me with more fuel. It can provide me with knowing that I just told my son that. So if I don't do what I say I'm going to do by his birthday next year, then I let him down. I had to do something drastic. So that made me really get to it. I thought I was getting to it, but I had to get to it then. Staying with my mom, looking at this room. Okay, what do? I'm marketing every week. I will go to work. Do the same little swing shift so I can have that time, at least the weekend with him. But now, my Fridays looked a little different. I would go pick him up. I get off at 8:30. I would go pick him up from D.C., bring him back to my mom's house in Montgomery County, drop him off because I knew I had to go market. I had to go out and market on Friday. So by the time I got him there, I wouldn't go out to market probably like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. I'd be out there marketing my company because I knew the only way that I could leave this job if I got a client. If I got clients for my home care agency. So I would go out there and market at night. I would get home like 4 o'clock in the morning from marketing after working the entire week, giving these people all these hours. But I still had to go out and market. I still had to work on my business. Every week I would do this. I said, I'm going to do this until I can get free. And I continue to do that. I'm living with my mom. I'm just putting myself in a position, an uncomfortable position, to fight my way out. And it was hard. It was hard. It was mentally hard. Physically hard. Because I'm still doing these things, but I'm still going through stuff in my head. But I knew, at the end of the day, I knew that I was going to pull it off. I believed in myself. Even people started to doubt me. Oh, you doing this home care thing. Oh, you doing this home care thing. Home care, you're a hustler. I mean, this is all the stuff that I'm getting from all these different people. I said, but I'm not going to let that bother me. I'm going to show them. First of all, I'm going to prove it to myself because I know I have it in me. But I'm going to make them a believer. I'm not going to do no talking. I'm just going to do nothing but action and make this thing happen. So I continue to do that. I took my son's birthday, April the 8th, coming up. That's all I have. I got this target in my head. I'm like, man, it's coming. I got to make something happen. And I remember this day. So I continued to market. And I finally got somebody to pay my company. The first check I ever received to my company was $120. Because I was like, until somebody pays me, it's not going to be real for me. For this to be real, no matter how much money they pay me, I just need somebody to pay my company. Make this thing real for me. Because right now, I'm depending on this check. Make it real for me. So I know that I don't want no family member to pay me. I want a stranger to pay my company. Write that check out in my company's name. It's going to make it real. Finally got this check. It was $120 for 1 day of service. It wasn't the principle that I didn't have continuation of services. It was the point that somebody literally took out their checkbook, wrote down on a piece of paper. I had been trying to make things happen throughout my entire life, through all my ventures, life insurance, real estate, this, that. I just created a company. Somebody wrote $120 to my company. Made it real for me. It was like the most exciting day of my life. I called my dad. I said, somebody just wrote a check out to my company. Like, you just don't understand the feeling until something like that happens. It changed my whole perspective. It changed my whole world. Because I knew that if that person wrote a check to me, somebody else would do it too. So I continued to hustle. I said, I got to get that again. I got to get a bigger check now. Boom. Got another client. A live-in client. Live-in client was paying more than I was making at Metro. I said, you know what? It's that time. I said, I got this client. I got to make something shake. So what I did was, I said, okay, I think it's the time. But remember, I'm living with my mom. My mom is like, she know I got a good job. Everybody's Metro. And I'm like, well, how am I do this? How can I quit? My mom, how she going to feel? I'm living with her. I don't know how this is going to play out. But guess what? I got to make something happen. So I got this live-in client. I'm like, okay, what do I do? I said, I got to quit. I got to get out of here. How can I make this level up if I'm still working on this job, or if I'm thinking about what my mom's going to say? So I did the next best thing. I said, I gotta do it. I called my dad. I said, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. You know, this job is just not it. I don't got no sense of fulfillment. I hate it. I'm miserable. I said, I want to quit. How do you feel? And my dad told me. He said, do it. It was like I was looking for, you know, approval from my best friend. Because me and my dad, we talk every day. He's guided me through a lot of my life. So I'm like, I got to call him. Because right there, even though I was like, you know, I know what I want to do, I was like, I got to call my dad. And I just wanted that. I wanted that approval from him. I just wanted that approval from him. So I just prayed that he would agree with me. And he did. My dad said, you know what? I agree. Go. He said, go. Yeah, I remember. So, that's, he told me to go. So I did that. So February 21st, 2017, I walked in there. It was the best feeling in the world. I walked in Metro. I'm talking about regular clothes. I got on some of my good stuff. I didn't got fly on them. I said, man, I'm about to walk in here. I'm about to quit this job. This good job that they talking about. This good career, good benefits. Looking at all my coworkers who said, you gonna give them what? You need to work it for like 15, telling me what they want me to do because they doing it. I'm like, nah. I told them, I said, I'm not gonna give them a maximum 5 years. That was max. I did it in 3. I walked in there 2017, February 21st. Walked to the front desk, told the lady, I said, hey, look, I'm looking for the I was looking for the superintendent. She was cool. So I wanted to, just holler at her, just tell her, hey, look, today is it for me. So the gatekeeper is what I call her. She's like real nasty. I'm like, hey, look, I'm looking for the superintendent. Oh, she not, this is how she's talking to me. Oh, she not here. You're gonna have to schedule an appointment. I'm like, hold up. Did she just tell me I gotta schedule an appointment? I'm the boss. I'm making more money than I'm making here at Metro right now. Oh yeah. I said, okay. I looked at that lady. I said, I gotta make an appointment. She's like, yeah. I said, nah. I don't gotta make no appointment. Had my watch. I said, that ain't gonna work for my time. I was coming to let y'all know that today was my last day. She looked at me. What you mean? Your last day? I said, yeah, you heard me. I said, today my last day. I just wanted to come and tell the superintendent that, but since I got to schedule an appointment and that don't work for my time, I'm letting you know today my last day. And I turned around and I walked out of there. And the reason why I didn't give him a 2-week notice, the reason why I walked in there and I did it like that is because I didn't want to have my mind thinking like, oh, I might can go back. I wanted to burn that bridge. I wanted to burn it. I said, I want to destroy this bridge because I'm not crossing back over here. So I'm coming in here today to let them know that I'm done. And I wanted to walk out of there with that company behind my back, knowing that I got my own company. I'm the boss of my company. I'm the CEO of my own thing. And I'm going to make this thing happen. I made all these sacrifices in my life. I left from this spot to move back in with my mom. I did this. I did that. I'm going to make this happen. And I left that place. And that was February. I told my son before April. By his birthday. So I left months before his birthday even came. I spoke it into existence. And it happened. So now, I got to tell my mom. The worst, right? So now I quit. I feel good about myself, but now I'm thinking about my mom. I'm like, man, I don't know how my mom about to take this. So I went and I kept it from my mom I tried to finesse. You know, I'm thinking if I be quiet in the basement, I park my car around the corner, she ain't gonna say nothing. My mom's smart. So a couple days go by, my mom like, hey, I ain't been hearing you going to work. I'm like, yeah, I just, I'm making up whatever at this point, because I'm like, man, I should just tell her. Or so she knew I wasn't getting up, so I had to break the news to her. And I told her, I said, look, Mom, I quit my job. What? You crazy. You are crazy. This is what my mom was telling me. She said I was crazy. She was like, what do you mean you quit your job? That's a good job. You had a good... And it's not her fault. She knows to work. She's been working all of her life. So I get it. I understand. It's security. But I told her, I said, look, Mom, I get it. I said, but, I see different things for my future right now. I said, but look, I still got you. I'm still going to help you out. Whatever money, I'm supposed to be giving you a month to be here, I'm going to give you that money. So long as I give you your money, don't worry about it. I got it. She said, okay. You still stupid. I'm like, all right. I'm like, cool. So fast forward, I'm out there hustling. Now I'm full-time hustling because I know I only got this one client. If I don't get to it, then what's going to happen? I got to get to it. So I ain't going to lie, I chilled a little bit. I breezed. I'm like, man, this feel good. I don't got to get up. I'm working on my business. But I was like, wow, then it hit me. That one client I had, I was like, wow, if this client passes away on me, my income goes from that to zero. That sparked a whole new fuel in me. I'm like, you don't got to clock in no more. But you got to get to it. This is your business. You the boss. And if you don't create something, you have no business. And I got to it. I'm talking about I was grinding. I'm hustling. I'm grinding. Because I just burnt the bridge. I can't go back to Metro. I got my CDLs, but I'm not trying to work no other job. I'm feeling this feeling of not having to go to work, not needing to clock in for nobody. I'm loving this feeling. I can spend time on my son anytime I want to. I could pull up on him on a Wednesday. I was loving the feeling, so I had to get to it, man. I got to it. Fast forward. I finally was able to get my own place. I cut on my mom. I'm like, look, Mom, I don't work for this job, but hey, I got my own spot. I got the keys. I show her. I thank my mom and her husband for letting me stay there. Had the keys to my own place. Moved out to this apartment. Had my own apartment now. And I just seen like, wow. For me saying and thinking and believing that I could do this, I literally just made this happen. I was scared, yes. I was afraid of the unknown. I was. But I knew I had it in me to do this. And I knew that if I continue to work at this job and I knew I was better than what they were paying me. I was better than who I thought I was. I knew I was somebody. I knew I could make things happen. So all of those failures that I'm like, dang, I had, it was only preparing me to be able to do what I knew I was going to do. In that year, when I quit my job, my company did over $120,000. My company did over $120,000. So what I'm saying to you is, don't matter where you come from. Don't matter it does not matter what your circumstances is. You can come from the bottom and make it happen. You can come from the bottom, man, and really make it happen. And I did that. And not only did I prove to all the doubters, all the haters, I proved to myself. I always knew I was going to be somebody. I always knew I was going to be able to do the things that I wanted to do. I always knew that I wanted to travel. I always knew that I wanted to give my mom stuff or take her on trips that she didn't have to pay for. And home care made that possible for me. So, coming from the bottom, I just wanted to tell some of that story. I mean, of course, it's more detailed and, but this is the baseline of what I had to do to get to where I am today. And I have not clocked in for nobody since 2017. And today is May 5th, 2023. And I've been able to scale and open up several home care agencies. But if I would have looked at my circumstances then, if I wouldn't have had the vision, if I wouldn't have believed in myself, if I would have cared what everybody else thought about me, if I didn't take heed on the warnings that God gave to me, my life would have been different. But I knew I had greatness in me. I knew. No matter me swiping that card, not having $1 to get this DVD, I still knew it was greatness in me. Me living in the Section 8 apartment that long, I knew it was something different about me. I knew I wanted better. I knew I wanted to be a provider for my family. And I made it happen. So I don't care where you are right now. I don't care who's saying what about you. It's possible for you to do some great stuff. And you can come from the bottom. You can come from wherever you are right now in life and make it happen. So believe in yourself. That's number one. Believe in yourself and know that you can do it. And tune out all the doubters. All I had tunnel vision. I said, I'm going to get to my destiny regardless of who don't believe in me. So no matter what your family think about you, no matter where you are, no matter how much money you have in your bank account right now, don't even trip. If you believe in yourself and you know you're going to get there, just keep going. And whoever not with you, drop them off along your journey. Because a lot of people who doubted me, a lot of people who said I wasn't going to do it, I'm making them eat them words right now. All they can do is watch. All they can do is watch, and they know exactly who they are. Watch me. Because I'm leveling up. I'm still leveling up. It's nonstop. It's nonstop. I got other great things I'm going to be doing, but I just had to share this story today because I just be thinking about it, and I just hope that you gain some inspiration, you gain some motivation, you just gain some clarity on where you are, and you know that you can do it. Hopefully some of my stories or what I've done, it may be relatable to you, and you know that you could do it. So that's it from me. Peace and blessings, and don't stop. All right? And you take this with you. Just to exist isn't living. So if you just existing like the majority of the world, you're not living. So switch that up and live your life, all right?